Just looking a bit closer at the bow before I start hacking it about viciously. Looks to be hickory back, then a lamination of some hardwood. Could be iPay, but I doubt it. I'm not sure why you'd put iPay in the middle where it's doing least work. Could be Purple Heart, which is nice and purple when it's new, but then goes a bit dull and brown. Anyway, then there's yew, but then there's another lamination of yew. So he's used sort of, well, he's been careful using his yew where he's had nice clean slats of it and built it up, which is very sensible. But I just want to be careful I don't go right through one lamination. But I should be alright. It looks like the inner yew lamination is quite heavily tapered and the outer one is less so, almost parallel, which is nice because I don't like exposing a glue line particularly. So there you go, hickory something or other yew. Yeah, my first burst of work is to take the varnish off the belly with a scraper. I'll only use the wire wool and terps just for final cleaning off a bit sort of mist, but it'd be daft to take it off with wire wool and terps and then scrape it off anyway. Rounded the corners of the belly a bit with a light rasping and a little bit off the belly itself. Rounded the corners off the back. Let's do that a tiny bit more here. Then I'll pop it on the tiller and have a quick look, see if that's actually done anything. Just to give me a feel for how much I've got to take off, you know, to pull it into the shape I want. I've just done a few minutes work on this. I've also taken the grip off, which was a leather sort of wrap. Seemed to be held on with either glue or self-adhesive tape, so it came off quite nicely. I'll probably be able to reuse that. I've given it a few flexes just to let it settle. I think it's made a slight difference, but we'll have a look. I think it's an exercise, of course. It's quite nice to see a bow fully worked like that. There you go, 27. Barely made any difference. But I don't know if it's fond imaginings, but I think it's looking a bit more even. You know, if you wanted to measure it, you'd say go out a foot from the centre line, measure that distance, then a foot this side and measure that, and see if they're the same. To my eye, it does look like it's made a slight difference. And if we say it's taken off a pound, it will give me an idea how much I've got to remove, you know, to take it the rest of the way. So if I say I've got to take off another £5, if I take £4 off this limb, do my rounding of the corners on that to take off another 4 and 1, that's 5. Job's a good one. I've done a bit more, and I've put away my old rasp, which has gone slightly dull, and took out my new one, which I keep in its plastic pouch, which I only use on nice clean wood. It cuts a lot better, but it's always worth keep your old tools for rough work. You know, if you're rasping through glue or varnish, you know, anything hard, keep your old one, save your new one for best. So anyhow, I've done a good rasp, a good light rasp with a cabinet rasp along the belly on this side, and I've now rounded the corners off the back of that side. We'll give it another flex. It may look like I'm, you know, I've got it up on the tiller too much, I'm not doing enough work, but I'm only trying to take off £5, which isn't a lot. Well, you can drop a couple of pounds just in the fiddling and, you know, the finishing of a bow. So let's give it a good old ace. Not really done anything, nothing perceptible, but just that subtle change in the look of the bow. It still looks very slightly weak on the left, but I think it's coming round a bit more. What I might do, there's not a lot of meat on the tips to take off anyway, and you've got to remember, if you take an even rasp along the belly, proportionately that's a lot more off there than it is off here. So see, 1 millimetre out of 30 and 1 millimetre out of maybe 20, you know. So you've got to take more off here than there. So I might just ease this back a bit towards the arrow pass. The Victorian tiller, they have this thing called Buchan's dips or something, that irritates me intensely. Basically, it was a built-up grip and riser section, which then faded out about here. So it just stiffened up this area and helped give you this elliptical tiller. But I'm not sure some bloke called Buchan can claim it to be a master stroke of inventiveness. I'm sure primitive man has been messing around with tiller shapes ad nauseum. Anyway, enough of that. We'll give it another whoosh down there with the sharp rasp and see what we've got. Perhaps I'll be a little more enthusiastic with the rasp this time. But that's what beginners do wrong. They keep taking a little bit off and they don't see a change. So then they reach for the angle grinder and it all goes belly up. I won't use the angle grinder. Another burst with a sharp rasp. Rounded the corners a bit more. Corners off on the belly as well. So I've taken a reasonable, you know, go off there. And I know it's made a difference. I can string it without the bracer now. So before it was just on the edge, you know, I was having to work hard and fiddling trying to get the string onto the nock. Now it was comfortable. It's easier to rick your back just trying too hard. Especially on bows that are long or war bows, but not that this is either. But let's just give it another go. Plenty of exercise. Yeah. There we are, it's about 41, made a definite difference. Now I think she may want it slightly under 40. So what I'll probably do is call that good and allow for, you know, going over it with a scraper, cleaning up the corners and the rest of it. Let's have a look at that tiller though. I think that's looking a bit better. But out of interest, let's just try and measure it. There's a centre line marked there. So if I go out a foot, 7 inches to the back of the bow. Whisker under 7 to the back of the bow. So now it's tillered that slightly stiffer than that. So I reckon we're there. That's taken me half an hour. But of course, there's all the scraping, the sanding, refinishing, building up the back, revarnishing or Danish oiling, putting the grip back on, polishing it. I won't sign write it or anything because the original maker's name had worn off. I don't want to put mine or his back on there. It is what it is. But yeah, there's always a lot more time in finishing than in actual doing the basic rough. Well, no, it's not too. It's not more. It's proportionately more time, if you know what I mean. Because of course all the roughing out's not been done. It's already a bow. It was made. I'm just giving it a quick tweak. Go and have a look at full draw. I think that's looking sweet now. Oh yeah, we can definitely see. Oh, I'm pulling from centre now, aren't I? Let's go back, pull from there. So it does make a difference where you pull from to the look of the bow. People do get a bit, you know, they don't understand. I think that's looking much prettier. Oh, and you get these people who go and shoot 3 under. Well, 3 under's fine for teaching kids how to shoot, or for modern bows made out of carbon fibre and fiberglass and God knows what. But if you're having a wooden bow, if you want to shoot 3 under, fine, nothing to do with me, mate. But if you're having a wooden bow made, tell the bowyer you want to shoot 3 under, and he can tiller it appropriately. He or she, they, the bowyer community. You know, I'm getting silly now. No one likes it when I get silly.